Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Tait and Wiki from Nanjing Marketing Group. We're just going to check out the news this week that is affecting anybody that is selling stuff in China. We have a few topics here. I'll let you know real quick what they are. First, Cangzhou has granted Baidu's first robotaxi permit. Then we'll talk about savvy Chinese consumers complaining online, mostly on Weibo. Then some news about Chinese vaccinations and how it might affect people in China and foreigners traveling into China. Then there are some new WeChat features that are coming out for Mac, and we'll look at that. Then we'll look at Huawei from a couple angles. Huawei is branching out into a few different directions. We want to know what Huawei is up to in China or outside of China. Then we'll talk a bit about Douyin and the government fighting show-offs on Chinese social media. That's people that show too much wealth. And finally, China might be removing English as a compulsory subject. So we'll take a quick look at that. And let's get started with this first one about Baidu robotaxis. Okay, I'm talking to you now, Vicky.
Okay.
Because I look at the camera and I talk to the people and then I look at you. This article on techno.com says that the city of Cangzhou in northern China granted search giant Baidu a permit to begin commercial robotaxi services on some of its streets. So these are actually robotaxis that are getting paid by people to drive them around, because there's been a lot of tests in China already, and there's been a lot of robotaxis driving around in a limited degree, but now they're actually going to be able to charge money for it. And the way they're going to do it is they're going to have most of the robotaxis with safety drivers on public roads within the city that are spanning about 229 kilometers. But they'll also have 10 of them driving without a human driver behind the wheel. So as far as I know, that's the only case in China, or maybe in anywhere, that will allow robotaxis to be driving around, paying people just around the town, and no driver at all. I think it's cool.
Okay, so the ones with safety drivers, there's still someone kind of there just in case, right? Is it how it works?
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
I would really like to see cities where services like that are pretty common, and then you don't really need to own a car in the city. That would be cool.
Yeah, I'd want to own a car, but I can see how some people wouldn't. And I got to add my little cynical marketing insight in here, but if people aren't driving, that's more time for them to be doing other stuff. I mean, they can be on their phone reading our articles or videos that we make for marketing purposes instead of driving. So that's a little added benefit to it. But overall, I think the trend in China is just that they're going really heavy into electric vehicles and also self-driving vehicles, and it should just totally change everything within China within 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah, that's cool though. I really want to see it happen.
Okay, next topic here. This one's from you, so tell us what's going on.
Okay, so this one is about this International Consumer Rights Day. And the article talks about how the number of complaints filed with the official consumer service in China is going down. So this number 315, that's just a shortcut of saying 12315. That's the official number where consumers in China used to file most of their complaints to Consumer Association. But now,
what do you mean official number? That's the number that they phone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's an official number to the Consumer Association, and this organization that's kind of safeguarding the rights and interests of consumers. So that used to be that kind of main place where you file the complaints no matter what. But now it's the number of complaints filed there is going down, and also their kind of resolution rate has dropped from 96 to 76% in the past 10 years. No, sorry, 20 years. And it's mostly because most consumers now, they prefer filing their complaints and solving them online, especially like with younger people, because they know that online the issue will be resolved much faster. The interesting part is that they don't find like this official channels like a website or, for example, like any like customer hotline or stuff like that. They don't find it efficient enough. So one of the main channels that they use is Weibo. And there's in this article they actually released some data for that. So, for example, in 2020, the China Consumer Association received 1.25 million consumer visits and consultations throughout the year, while at the same time, the Black Cat, which is like a complaint website, received a total of 2.4 million consumer complaints. So it's twice the number. And then on Weibo, there was over 39 million users that posted posts related to some kind of complaint or their right being violated. So that's a huge number.
Okay, so but on Weibo, it's people that are posting publicly, like just onto their own feeds?
Yes, and they're tagging the brand.
Okay, I didn't even know about this 315.
I remember it was brought up, like it comes up once a year around this International Consumer Rights Day. I remember we talked about that in newsletter maybe a couple of years ago. But it's actually interesting to me because our team always brings it up when we discuss Weibo and Weibo setting official Weibo account with our customers.
Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons they always mention is that it's a more controlled way to listen to your customer complaints and then respond to them timely and make sure that the complaints are like answered and they're not just floating online with other potential customers reading the complaints and seeing that nothing changes.
Okay. Yeah, well, people like to complain on there anyways publicly because then they're like they're more likely to get attention when they're spreading bad news about a company.
Yeah, exactly. And in this article, they actually bring up quite a few stories. And they're about different companies and different cases, but most of them, the finishing point is that they got their complaint like answered only after they either posted on Weibo or left a negative review.
Okay.
Yeah, so only after they kind of went public with it, they got some attention from the company.
Okay. So the point of this for people marketing in China is that they should have a Weibo account because people are going to trash talk them on there. So they got to have that account to be ready to say like, hey, we're listening to your feedback or we understand what you're saying and we're going to do this and that to fix the situation, right?
Yeah, that's one point. And I think the second point is that every single company that wants to market to Chinese consumers, they should be prepared to this kind of timely customer support. It could be on WeChat or on Weibo or anywhere, but this is what is expected of them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Anything else about this or you want to move on?
No, I think that's it. Let's move on.
Okay. Cool. So next topics here, a couple pieces about COVID. Now, first, as it affects Chinese people, China has approved the 5th COVID-19 shot. From this SupChina.com article, it says 2 days ago, about 65 million shots had been administered in China. In comparison, the EU has administered over 50 million doses, which is more than twice as many per capita as China, and the US has already given over 110 million shots. So China actually hasn't been that fast at administering all of these vaccines yet. They have 4 approved already. They have 5 now coming out. And I mean, they'll have 5 in total now, and that should help them speed up the process. It also says that an additional 500 million people in China, for a total of about 40% of the population, will be inoculated by the end of June. So I don't know what to think about this. I mean, compared to what I was thinking a few months ago, this seems very fast, because I didn't know if these vaccines were actually going to be out, and I didn't know if they were going to be effective or anything. I think it was only a couple months ago that I was talking about how one Chinese city was administering vaccines, and then other organizations of the Chinese government were saying, no, we're not doing the vaccines for regular people yet. So it's just, things change so quick. But now some other countries already are giving a higher proportion of their population these shots. I just want to have things normal in China, so it's easier to do business there, easier for me to go there for business and for family, and easier for anybody who's doing business in China to come in and engage.
Yeah, that's true.
And I found this other news about the vaccine too. This one's about travelers going into China. And what it says basically is that China will be giving a streamlined visa process for some foreigners that take the Chinese vaccine. I guess, I don't know why they want people to take the Chinese vaccine, really. I guess this is because of politics. No, actually, I'm not even sure. Why wouldn't they want people to just take any vaccine and then come to China? Maybe they don't trust the other vaccines quite so much.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it, but is it for all the foreigners, or only the ones that come through Hong Kong? Because I think that was the initial news that I heard.
This one's talking about foreigners in general, and it's been talked about by Chinese embassies in a bunch of different countries like Japan and USA and India, etc. And I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but like I already have a long-term visa, a 10-year visa, and hopefully once I get a vaccine from Canada, I'll just be able to go back to China. But we'll see what happens.
Well, I am not sure what would be the point of it, but okay.
Yeah.
Like not you going to China, just taking Chinese vaccine in particular.
Yeah, not quite sure about the point of people traveling right now either, because everybody has gotten so much better at doing work online. But I still want to go there to hang out.
Yeah, and I mean, there are certain industries that are particularly affected, right? Even when we talk about higher education, we want people to get vaccinated and be able to move abroad to start their studies. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next news here. This is about Wechat. Now, Wechat is testing a bunch of updates for its Mac desktop version. And, you know, the desktop versions of Wechat aren't as good as the mobile version. I think that it's been getting better over time. I have the Windows version of Wechat on my computer, and it's pretty good. I can do a few of these things that are coming to the Mac version already, but not all of them. Here are some of the updates. For one, people are going to be able to browse their friend feed, their 朋友圈, which they couldn't do before on Mac, and I don't think I can do that on my Windows version either. Can you?
No, I can't do that for sure. My Windows version is very basic.
Okay, yeah, mine is newer than yours. I just don't use it for that purpose anyway, so I wasn't completely sure. But that's cool. That's a pretty core feature to Wechat. And then next feature here. Okay, so you're going to be able to see the video accounts and the live streaming accounts more. Basically, you'll be able to click on them from chats or other places that you find them maybe, and actually see the videos and the comments and such, and interact with them in many of the ways that you'd be able to interact on Wechat too.
Okay.
Then also they're going to add the dark mode to it.
Mm-hmm.
I like to use dark mode for most things, so that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
And the mini programs will be coming to the Mac version, the Mac desktop version. Now, I can already use the mini programs on my Windows version, actually. I have the 3.1 version or something. But those poor Mac desktop users weren't able to do this. I don't think that all of the mini programs work, but it's good to have some of them. Still, a lot of those mini programs are really built for mobile. Like they totally have mobile in mind. If you're using it at a certain restaurant, for example, at any any kind of physical business, they built it for those. So I don't know what this means exactly for desktop users. Are they going to use mini programs much? I don't know, but I think that they do use WeChat for chatting during work, reading content, group chats, file sharing too.
Well, yeah, I think that it's actually great, and I'm looking forward to it. I will update my app right away, probably, because it makes life much easier. And maybe we don't use it as much, but even in our office, I noticed that people, by default, the first thing in the morning, they turn on their WeChat app, like desktop app. And I know that, for example, for some features like file sharing, they may switch to QQ because it's more convenient. But with these features coming in, then I guess it will be more convenient to use WeChat too. And even for me personally, it's always been a bit annoying that we share a lot of things in the different work group chats on WeChat, right? And then I have to jump to my phone to check some mini programs or some articles, and they're definitely not easy to browse on desktop devices. So it would be great if it's changed.
Right. Yeah. All right. Now I have 3 things to say about Huawei, because I've been wondering lately what's going on with Huawei and how they're going to adapt in this political situation, because they're on that naughty list from USA, so they aren't able to get some semiconductors or maybe some other important components, and I don't think that they're able to use the Google version of Android on their newer phones. So one thing that they're doing is here from techno.com, it says Huawei will begin charging smartphone makers royalties of up to $2.50 for each 5G enabled handset they sell that uses its patented 5G technology. Global smartphone makers like Apple and Samsung are likely to pay 5G related royalties to Huawei. So like I was talking about last week, more patents are being applied for in China than anywhere else. China's the number 1 country for patent applications, and then Huawei is the number 1 within China. Huawei has a ton of patents. So if it can't use these for its own phones, selling them abroad, or I mean, maybe it can, it just doesn't make enough money that way. Another source of revenue is just by selling its patents to other companies. Now, the second thing about Huawei is that they're doing some strange businesses too. One that they're into is fish farming, because
fish farming.
Yeah. So from this Al Jazeera article here, it says, among Huawei's newest customers is a fish farm in eastern China that's twice the size of New York's Central Park. The farm is covered with tens of thousands of solar panels outfitted with Huawei's inverters to shield its fish from excessive sunlight while generating power.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's not really that Huawei's technology is specific to fish. It's just they have the solar powers and inverters. I think that inverters are the thing that convert the energy from AC to DC or the other way around. I don't know exactly, but it has something to do with converting the energy from the sun into electricity.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you with that one.
Okay. That's probably not quite right. But anyways, they have that technology and applying it to fish farming. It says that they're the leading supplier of the world's leading supplier of inverters. and they're just going to now try to grow these sales alongside cloud services and data analytics solutions to help the 190,000 employee business survive. Do they really? I said survive, and this article said the word survive too, but I don't know if they're really in danger of not surviving. I think it's more that they want to continue to thrive and try new things. Now, the third thing about Huawei, this isn't an article, it's just something that I was wondering, because I was wondering if Huawei can't use Google phones, like, or if it can't use Google Android, then can it survive? Can it sell phones outside of China? So I tried using some different solutions. And what I found was that, well, for one, Android isn't Google's. Android it can be used by anybody. It's open source, but a lot of Google's services are built into any phone that is sold with Google Android, right? Google's version of Android. And Google will have its killer apps on the phones. But for me, the killer apps on a Google phone are probably Gmail, Google Maps more than anything. That's the one true. That I was wondering if I could do without. And I did find this alternative. I found this magicearth.com, and this is an app that basically replaces Google Maps. What they say here is that you can download only the region that you need, and you can use it offline. And it's free, and you don't have to give up your privacy. It's not tracking you as much, or it's not tracking you like Google is, because Google, I think, is tracking everywhere you go, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but on my phone, I installed this map app, and I was trying it out, and I actually found it to be surprisingly good. I was expecting it to be a lot worse than Google Maps, but it's a little bit better in my neighborhood here in Edmonton. Anyways, it has more of the walking and bike trails that I want that Google Maps is missing. Like, I have some trails near my house that I already tried notifying Google about 3 times, because you can submit corrections to Google Maps, right? I tried notifying them about it, and they never added it, but it already has those trails on here. And the data for this comes from Open Street Maps project, where that actually a lot of different companies and people around the world use. And it's probably not news to people that are really involved with technology or watching this kind of thing, but I'm not always watching it, and I just thought that Google Maps was the way to go. I didn't know there were alternatives like it. So I could imagine Huawei using Android, but not Google, and replacing it with different apps, and I think that they could still do well with that.
Well, but I think that you can still download the Google apps to Huawei phones, right? Even if they're not pre-installed, you can still get them from the Huawei app gallery.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think the premise is here that they cannot be pre-installed because Huawei is working on like their own version of Android, right? But then you can download them.
Yeah, so
It's
Huawei.
just like for some people, it may be just too much fuss.
Maybe. Now I hear conflicting reports about what Huawei is actually doing with their OS. They could use Android without Google, or they could use this Harmony OS that they're making. I just don't know how good either of these options are. Either way, I think that it could still work for them. They could make it work. They could pack the phones with different apps that are alternatives to Google and still make money by doing that, I hope.
Yeah, I think so. I just feel that maybe everyone is quite confused. Where is it going? I noticed that because I am a huge Huawei fan myself, and I have a Huawei phone. But I think that people are concerned. And also I noticed that even in Poland, the service providers do not offer Huawei phones anymore as much as they used to.
Mm,
So they will offer now more like Xiaomi or Oppo, but
right.
Huawei used to be the top choice for many users.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. We got two more to go here. You tell me about this one. Something to do
Mm-hmm.
with Douyin and wealth.
Yeah, okay. So the news here is that Douyin announced that it had banned almost 4,000 users on their platform for showing off their wealth. And in Chinese, it's called xuanfu. And it has happened in the 3 months since the beginning of the year. And it, of course, is in line with the guidelines from the government that the money worship should not be promoted, or other activities such as making fun of the poor, displaying large walls of cash, involving minors with luxury goods, etc. So some kind of bigger influencer accounts have been blocked on Douyin. And people are discussing it because first the influencers are kind of getting back to the wind, saying that getting wealthy is a more common thing in China at the moment,
Mm,
and that's not the problem. So they should be actually fighting problems that are like more striking at the moment, like for example the growing wealth gap. This is the problem that should be addressed, and not criticizing people for actually earning money and getting wealthy. You're showing some extreme examples on the screen now. I
yeah,
think it was trending like a year or two ago on Douyin.
right.
So there was like these videos of people kind of falling out of their luxury cars with all the luxury goods that they have.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens to these users if they're Schwemfu too much? Um, they're booted off? They're banned for a bit or forever or what?
I'm not sure. I don't think they are banned forever. But even like a lot of users, especially the ones that get banned for showing off wealth, they're users that, for example, their sole source of income is being an influencer online, right? Um, so it's just like social media, and not only Douyin. In general, they kind of sell the illusion of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Fake it until you make it, and
Yeah.
Instagram is huge for that as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so they think that this is kind of unfair.
Yeah, I
But
could
yeah,
see
I
that.
think, mhm.
I could
Yeah,
see that.
and
I think it's
yeah.
too harsh to be booting people off for that. That's a funny thing to censor people for. Uh,
Mhm.
but I could see how they'd be sensitive about that with so many poor people in China.
Yeah, exactly. But then maybe Douyin is more a show off, like users are showing off more on Douyin compared to, let's say, Kuaishou. But there are other apps like Red or Xiaohongshu that is like focused on shopping, right? And shopping trends. So like a lot of this kind of wealthy users and showing off happens there as well. Mm, and I think that one of the trends that should be addressed more, and I think, did we mention? No, we didn't mention, is that people are actually promoting other unhealthy trends on Douyin. Like a few newsletters, like podcasts ago, we talked about how people have this kind of unhealthy body standards.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's also about surgeries, that people are vlogging about surgeries, and young female, especially, they're getting huge loans just to kind of invest in their face and change all the possible features. So I think this is a trend that should be like carefully looked into.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same article by Jing Daily, they actually say that there is another thing happening with this kind of banning. They're banning the wealthy users, but the other thing that is kind of happening behind the screen is that online publishers are having like more scrutiny from the government, and they will have to get a government approved credential before they publish a wide range of subjects online.
Hmm.
So they're kind of blowing to citizen journalists and content creators that are talking about certain topics.
Yeah, okay. That could end up being a tricky thing for marketing in the future, maybe.
Yeah, I think so, but also just another try to curb like people's will to express what's going on, right?
Hmm.
Express their opinions.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one's from you too. There's this proposal, or maybe they're going to make English not a compulsory subject in China. Is that what's going on here?
Yes, there was a proposal like that. So the thing is that the suggestion was made that English only takes up about 10% of, no, that it takes up as much as 10% of class hours,
Mm-hmm.
but less than 10% of university graduates actually use the language at work.
Mm.
And also, it was claimed that the modern technology and this kind of AI translation make it actually not as necessary to know English and to use it in daily lives.
Mm.
And it raised quite a big discussion online because both the netizens and educators argue that it's actually the opposite should be done. So there should be a bigger emphasis on learning English and other foreign languages. But instead of stressing that people should pass the test to get into university, so they have this kind of exam passing ability, instead they should focus on shaping the skill to actually use the language in daily lives. And there was also the discussion also brought up the topic that it's another thing that would fuel into that growing gap between wealthy and poor, because in the cities, people that are wealthy enough, their children will still be sent to private schools to learn English, while families that are not as wealthy and they cannot afford it, their children will be affected if English is not a compulsory subject anymore. So that's
Yeah.
what's going on.
Right. So I don't know if this is actually going to go through or not, but let's say that
Mhm.
that English wasn't required in school in China anymore. I guess that probably people that have more money, or maybe they have aspirations for their children to go study abroad later or something, they would just
Mhm.
spend more money and time studying English outside of school, or either optionally within school still.
Yeah, and I think it's still like in China, the topic that is brought up quite often is that China has been lagging behind in terms of people speaking English, right?
Mm-hmm.
So since English was introduced as a compulsory subject, you could see even like living in China that younger people are able more to communicate in English in their daily lives.
Right.
Even if they're not fluent, they know enough to kind of make a simple conversation with you, while older generation are not able to do it. So it's kind of going into the good direction. So why stop it?
Yeah, and it's been getting better over time. Their English has just been getting better over time, even since I've been
Mhm.
there for 15 years or 18 years or something. Um, the level of English of the newer graduates, people just coming out of university, has gone a little bit up every year, I think, just anecdotally. Not sure if that's really the
Mhm.
case or not, but it feels that way.
Yeah, it feels that way, especially like with for some time now, like there's been a huge influx of native speaking teachers coming to China to teach, right? So um, yeah, I think the level of English is generally improving. That's my impression from living in China, not something that I got from data.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, this wraps it up here.
Hmm. I think so.
All right. Cool. Yeah, we do it. We do it live. Not many people watch it live, but people listen to the podcast, and lots of people pay attention to the newsletter and social channels that we release it on. So thanks for anybody that listens wherever you listen to it, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.